part of my concern is that there are writers like Bernice that are being asked, can you throw in some juicy whatever? That'll sell more books. And it's like, that's like sort of like being pimped, you know? And, you know, I love the fact that you refuse to do that. And Johnny, and hopefully there'll be more independent book publishers, but I wanted to know, and I'm sure there might be some of you young writers in here, because I get a lot of them on Facebook and Twitter, but what I would like to know from you is one of the things that I find disturbing about a lot of this urban stuff is that there's nothing redeeming about it. Now, it's okay to tell our stories. You know, we have slave narratives, but they didn't say, fuck this shit, I hate the motherfucking homies, and, you know, I can't wait to burn the goddamn slave fucking plantation down. You know, I can't wait to get a goddamn beer so I can go rob a fucking bank. They didn't do all that, even though we knew they were thinking it. You know? And there are other ways to say it and show it.
Right.
And I want to know what your feelings are.
How many of you are aware of the Washington Post op-ed piece that I wrote? The Washington Post actually changed the title to, my title was The Immortal History of Textual Colonialism. And they changed it to Black Writers in the Ghetto of the Publishing Industry's Making. Yeah, I guess my title was too intellectual.
Yeah.
But here's where I stand on it. And I always have to make it clear because people, even though it's in black and white, people are going to walk away with what they want to walk away with. I am not saying that urban lit should not exist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there has to be a balance. There are so many brilliant and talented authors of color who are being ignored because publishers would rather acquire these types of books than books that I write or similar books. And so what a lot of us authors are comparing it to is like the crack epidemic, because here's the thing, if you notice, you're not going to see those books sold in bookstores outside of the urban areas. Just like you're not going to see St. Ives beer outside of the urban areas. So it's almost like junk. So you know you want to have junk, maybe once in a while you want to have McDonald's, but you know you cannot have it 3 meals a day. It's not good for you. And neither are those books, not on a consistent basis. You have to mix it up. You want to be entertained, but I would think that some part of you would also want to be educated. I like to walk away from a book entertained and educated. I want to close the book and say, wow, I learned something. I laughed or I cried. You want to be moved. And I think it's an issue with the young people, especially young people who aren't in a financial situation where they can actually travel outside of their neighborhood, outside of their state. So if they believe that this is it, it's just about drugs, sex, and hip-hop, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to those young people? And that's what my issue is with the urban literature. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying let's acquire some other books that contrast that lifestyle.
Exactly.
You know, I don't see anything wrong with capturing the reality of what some of our lives are about, including the urban writers. But one of the problems that I think I really have with it is, one, a lot of them are self-published, and even the ones that are published by major houses, they almost are unedited.
Yeah.
And they're poorly written, a lot of them. And also, I'm so sick of seeing seeing naked black women on the cover. I mean, gorgeous bodies. Most of you don't even see their faces, do you? It's all tits and ass. But, and I'm saying to myself, I was thinking, like a lot of dirty old men, because I used to buy, I used to stay right by the 6th Avenue Barnes & Noble, and there was a brother out there that had his whole table set up, and I used to want nothing but urban fiction, right outside of Barnes & Noble, and I watched the truck deliver them all wrapped in cellophane in case it gets rainy and stuff like that, and I mean like just scores of books, and I just looked at the covers one day, and I was like, what are they selling to us? And I didn't like that. I really didn't like it. And not only that, but some of them I've looked into, and some of the writers I know, and I'm saying to myself, it's a lot of self-hatred in these books.
Yes.
And that's part of what they don't seem to even know. And they don't seem to care. That's the only problem that I have. If there was something redeeming, and if you put somebody drinking, goes to their wine cellar and brings out some white Zinfandel, and that's $6.99, you don't put that in a wine cellar. Okay? And editors don't catch it. But not only that, but when we can walk into a bookstore and see urban Jewish fiction, urban Italian, or just Italian, Jewish, Polish, whatever. Okay, but they don't do that. They single us out. And on that note, did we talk about the future of Black publishing?
Stay passionate, remain passionate. Don't let the rejection letters get you down. Don't even let the state of publishing get you down, because what goes around comes around. And that's what you have to rely on. And also with rejection letters, usually if you have a really interested editor, they will give you some advice in those rejection letters. They may not be able to acquire the book, but take that advice and move forward with it. So you have to remain dedicated. Don't put off writing because the kids or this or that. If you really love it, if you feel that this is a part of you, nobody really has to tell you to stay dedicated, but sometimes I think you need a little nudge.
I say, write without worrying about being published. Don't look over your own shoulder. A lot of young writers now, before they even can write a declarative sentence or a decent paragraph, they're already thinking about the bestsellers list. And, you write because it's like an itch. And there's also things that you find wrong and ugly about the world that we live in and the people, some of us who inhabit it, and about our relationships. And if you write honestly about it, and you have to be a really good liar, and tell a story from your heart and your gut. Afterwards, when you told it, that's when you can go back and use your brain and edit it and start wondering, who might like it. If you're worried about that, you will be constipated. I call it literary constipation. And if you're worried about just writing, I call that literary masturbation. Forget about both. Okay? Your story will find a home. And don't ignore small presses. Don't ignore them. But people will always say no. We've been hearing no for a long time. But as resilient people, as